this
Possibly it was in the Bishop.
no, the one before that. That right there, Bishop. That one right there. You read it. Today we welcome all of you that are with us by way of our social media and live stream to our final session with our district superiors, the bishops of the Society of St. Alphonsus Marie de Liguori. Today we are dealing with many issues concerning the religious, administrative, and government of our society. At this point, we want to deal with our Alphonsian Redemptorist formation. It is very important that as Alphonsian Redemptorists in our society, that we form our priests and our brothers. It says here, brothers, that since 1732, the Redemptorists, a congregation of missionary priests and brothers, having followed in Jesus' footsteps, preaching the word and serving the poor and most abandoned. We, as the Society of St. Alphonsus Marie de Liguori, will carry out this mandate that has been given to our founding father, your unworthy servant Sherman, whose vision it is to follow the charism of the original Redemptorists and our patron St. Alphonsus Marie de Liguori. We are a traditional Roman Catholic society, and in our literature, it speaks about the process of formation. So we see here that the aim of Alphonsian Redemptorist formation is to lead candidates and members of the community to such a degree of human and Christian maturity that, with the help of God's grace, they will be able to dedicate themselves intelligently, willingly, and wholeheartedly to the service of the missionary church in Redemptorist community life. In order to preach the gospel to the poor, they should learn progressively what the following of Christ demands of them, required as it is by baptismal consecration and confirmed by religious profession, and thus become true missionaries. And this is found in our Constitution and Statutes, number 78. Now, the candidate, after a period of inquiry and discernment during which they are accompanied by a vocation director. So in every district, the bishop will have a vocation director. That can be the bishop himself. If you don't have anyone that you appoint, then you yourself can be the vocation director. So I want to say that again. If the district superior does not have a vocation director, he himself can be the vocation director. And so inquiries into the Alphonsian Redemptorist way of life may be invited to apply for formal entrance into the Alphonsian Redemptorist formation program. If they are accepted as candidates, these men move into the Redemptorist house of formation in the District of Africa, in the country of Cameroon. Now, if we're going to do this right, even candidates from the United States, we would have to send them to Cameroon because we're missionaries, and everything is not going to be done here in the General House. The General House bishops is for the formation of priests in our religious community. But it's better for them to go to the third world countries, the foreign countries, so that they can begin to experience missions. And where else than Africa and the Philippines and India and Argentina and Brazil can they learn that? So when a young man comes in the United States, then we should prepare them with their passports to come to the house of formation. And when they come to the house of formation, they will come with a dowry. They will give that dowry to the superior, the district superior, which is money for their dowry that's put away for them. They will come with all things necessary for their life, and then they will be supported by their own district. So if we send young men, then this district will support them. These are our candidates that are coming that will eventually come back to us and serve us. Now, if a candidate comes, we have to also make sure that candidates can financially assist themselves in their formation, which means they should bring something. And their family members and benefactors should assist them. I would say, Bishop Jackson, that when you do the formal investigation and when you sit down with them, whether it be by way of WhatsApp or Skype or by way of live stream, in whatever way you would have to at this time speak to a candidate, that one of the things that you emphasize is that, you know, maybe they should think about getting a couple of sponsors, that we let them know what is required financially, you know, for the years that they are entering into formation. Because one of the things that is really not very well thought of is that we want these men to come to us and we want to accept them, and we don't want to speak about finances. We don't want to speak about money. That's not the way. In the Roman Church, a young man that goes into even the monastery, he must bring a dowry. He must bring some money. He must have a benefactor. He must get someone to help him. Because how do we make it? How does that house make it? Okay? Once a month they should send $50 or $100 or $25 or $1. But just to live in the monastery or in the formation house and don't contribute anything from your own family members or benefactors, it's unheard of. It's unheard of. It's not correct. That's why a lot of people want to come to us, because we sometimes don't require it. And if they go to Society of St. Pius X or the priestly fraternity, they will have to bring the money. I remember when Anthony was with us and he wanted to go to a Sedevacanist movement, because that's what he felt, he believed. When he went to Florida, he had to have money. And because they would not accept him. You have to have some finances. Now, in the third world countries, and many of the young men may come from very poor families, and they really may not have the finances that maybe those in our country might have. We may say, well, our men can get a benefactor to give them $100, $200 a month, but they may not be able to do that. But if they can give $2, $1, $25 toward their being in the house of formation, a benefit, get one benefactor that will sponsor them and send that money on a monthly basis to help aid them in their education, in their formation. Because these habits must be made, and they cost. The rosaries have to be made. So we have the nuns make them. The nuns, this is their apostolate. They have to be reimbursed. So we know, yes, we serve the poor, but the priests and in the House of Studies, whether it be here in the United States or in Cameroon, must assure that these men are financially stable in some kind of way. So Bishop Jackson, when you deal with these candidates, you deal with them gently, of course, and you let them know that they should try to get a benefactor to help, because it's unfair for just the General House to do it all. The General House has a budget, and the General House has agreed with the bishop that $700 a month will be sent to the House of Studies, and that's what Bishop and I and the General House, we have agreed upon, and we will continue to do that. However, anyone coming now, they have to begin the process of, and I don't want to just be saying this because I'm going to emphasize this when they all come, that you're not going to live free. Okay, do you have something you want to say now?
No one should live free.
Yeah.
And we do ourselves a disservice by letting people just come and we pay for everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's not right. It's not morally right.
Okay, Bishop?
No, I think for our minor scenarios we have, every family give $40 a month. Right. We program that award that every family must bring every month $40 alas. And if they have food, do bring. Just begin to teach them that.
That's good.
And they bring. And they bring, and Brother Ali is in church. He speak about, and when the day come, before 5 days, he call you. Mateo, don't forget. Huh? Next 5 days is the date. Yeah. Yeah. And I told the family, now your son need to go to school near the house for mission, and they pay.
Okay.
They go and come. They go and come. They go and come.
And this is the minor seminary.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Now with about like if the children from Congo come now, we need to have a meeting with Father Gondi, with the families, and say we need to give something every month or one time a year if you can bring something.
I like the fact that you also say that if they don't have in those countries, if they don't have money, they can bring food.
Yeah.
They can bring something that they can help in some kind of way, or even clothes.
They can bring food. Then they can bring soap.
Yeah, so
Soap. You know, you can bring. Let's see. We use during the mass candle.
candles,
Yeah.
wine.
Wine can help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that helps the house.
Yes.
And that's important.
Yeah.
That's
I
important.
said, everything you have and you can give is good. Bring. Huh?
We also want to say that we only have 2 official houses at this time,
Yeah.
and the first house is in Cameroon under the District Superior of all of Africa, Bishop Hippolyte Emily Paglin, and the second house is here at the General House for the formation of priests. In the house in Cameroon, the candidates they spend their time there in formation as aspirants in minor orders, and then they enter into the religious life as postulants, and they enter novitiate. They finish their first temporary vows with the district superior, and then the district superior will send a letter to the superior general that that this candidate or that candidate is now prepared to enter seminary for formation as priests in our religious community. So we have an order, which is very, very good. But I want to emphasize to all of our priests that we only have 2 houses. Any houses that you may have, they are not official. You cannot decide to, in your district or in your region
Parish.
or parish, organize a house. The house, according to our Constitution and statutes, must be approved by the Superior General of the Society. And if another house is needed or priory is needed, the District Superior will make a request to the Superior General for approval to raise up another house in his district. Because it might be that you need a priory, or you need a place for the priest, or a rectory, which we call priory. We don't have rectories or priory, and this is where the priest lives next to the church. So you have the candidacy, and then during that time, they learn the rhythms of the Alphonsine Redemptorist prayer life ministry. They participate in programs designed to assist them in their human, intellectual, spiritual, and pastoral formation. And they should at least, during this time, complete bachelor's degree. So Bishop, this is where, you know, as long as God allows you, we have to monitor to make sure that these candidates at least get their bachelor's degree, and they can do it online so that they don't have to go in public settings, since online degrees are acceptable. Then they enter the novitiate, and this is where the candidates who deem ready for their formators are invited to apply. They have to apply. For instance, Bishop Hippolyte, all of his novices applied to me, and they wrote letters to me, and then Bishop wrote me a letter, and this, he did it all in order. Bishop Hippolyte followed the whole protocol in order. He sent a letter directly to me, along with all of the letters of his candidates, and then we sent a letter from the mother house to him that says, yes, we accept them. We gave him mandate to continue on with them and their formators in the novitiate. And the year will be divided into 6 months. Candidates from foreign countries will stay for 6 months in the United States and return to their countries. Now, we are going to change that in the statute here, that they will remain there in the novitiate. The novitiate is in Cameroon. So they don't do the novitiate here. They do the novitiate in Cameroon. So when the Americans come, Bishop, they must learn French. Now, the Americans can teach English, and someone there in this formation house can teach French, so that when they do come back, they know the language in that region. If we send them to Argentina, then they'll learn Spanish. If we send them to Brazil, then they learn Portuguese. If we send them to the Philippines, well, they speak English, unless they speak their dialect of Tagalog. But wherever we are sent, we really should learn the languages. And to be very honest with you, I am online learning some languages. I will not speak those languages until I feel comfortable. I go online at least twice a week. I go online for Spanish, and I go online for French. But, oh gosh, it's very difficult. Ismael is Spanish, Mexican. He could teach me many things about the language, and he does. But I do have a great fear that I'm not saying it correctly. So I will not venture out yet to do that. But all of us that are in mission life ought to learn the language of the people if we are going to be there with the people. And if the candidates come, Bishop Hippolyte from the United States, you will as their director, take them into the bush, into the areas, so they learn mission life. Mission life. So this is very important. Now, the novices experience the Redemptor's way of life. They get to know the history of the society. They have their minds and hearts imbued with the Holy Ghost. They are during this time of the novitiate in great prayer and meditation. And of course, we have formation materials, of course, that are for them during this time. The temporary vows, the first time an Alphonsine Redemptor professes his religious vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience with the society. Of course, as novices, they receive their habit. When they're candidates, they wear a regular Roman cassock. Okay? They can wear a Roman cassock. When they're aspirants, they just simply wear black pants, black belt, white shirt, black tie on Sunday. Other times they can just wear a white jump shirt, and you don't have to have them so formal every day. But they should be formal on Sunday when they come to Holy Mass. The one thing, Bishop, you and I have already talked, that we prefer, and Bishop Jackson has also recommended to me, that we prefer that our candidates, whether they be in priestly formation or in religious life formation, that they do not intermingle with the people. We all agree with that, right? They do not intermingle with the membership of the parishes. I know it's very difficult, but they should not do that, because the familiarity breeds contempt. And once people become so familiar with the seminarian and the candidate, then
That will kill the
it
vocation.
kills the vocation. Say it again, Bishop?
It will kill the vocation.
Yeah, it will destroy it. And we have had experience already. Now, men preparing for the priesthood pursue studies in line with the Alphonsine Redemptor's apostolic priorities. So, after the temporary vows, the candidate must make application to the district superior. The district superior will then send a letter to the superior general. The superior general will turn that letter over to the vocation director. The vocation director will speak directly, not with you. It has to speak directly to that candidate that wants to be a priest, because we have to see what they feel and say. They have the right, they have to be able to say why they want to be a priest. We can't speak for them. And it's very important, because it's like when you go for your immigration, they won't let you in the room. They have to speak on their own. And they have to come by way of WhatsApp or a Skype or live stream if they can't come personally. And you have to have dialogue with them. If you need an interpreter, there needs to be a bishop can be in the room with them to interpret with what they're saying, so that when they're preparing to come for their years of it, and they must be serious. They can't do all those years over there in Africa and then say, well, I can't come to America. No. They have to come here. They have to come for priestly formation. And when they come here, we will have the necessary work for them to do. The Lord willing, Bishop, we will probably have Father Sanjeev Kumar, hopefully one day coming here. He's seminary trained, well trained, and has already gone through all of those things that can really be one of our professors. So that it won't be so much on you and I, okay? Because that's where we have to get men ordained so that they can become professors. Because once they learn and they have their bachelor's, and if they want to pursue masters, they can pursue that. In Africa, many of the young men that do come have already gotten their masters. So which is kind of good, because they don't have to do all of that and be interrupted in their studies. So basically, now another thing too we can do, Bishop, if we have a candidate that has had philosophy, then he doesn't need to take the philosophy.
Right.
But he does need to take theology. So they can enter into their year of theology, but we have to test them out with philosophy. Because it's one of the things that I despise and with traditionalists. They want all this theology and Bible. That's all fine and good. But if you don't have philosophy, you don't have a balance. We know that. You have to have a balance. You know, you have to have philosophy. And that's why it's always 4 years of philosophy and 2 years of theology. And then scholasticism. But it would take, we don't want to do that. So we have the time of philosophy. If these men in Africa or in other places come and they already have philosophy, you would look at their transcript, and if you see things on their transcript they've already had, like logic and all of that, we don't need to let them stay for that. We need to move them to the next tier, phase in their preparation for the priesthood. So that has to be something that we have to decide once the candidate gets here and we see their transcript of record. Then we can say, well, you don't need this, you don't need this, but we're going to test you out. Let's move now to the next phase of your studies. Okay? Now, the pastoral experience here, it says, as their academic programs come to an end, all Alfonso Redemptorists in temporary vows are required to participate in a pastoral experience for a minimum of 6 months, usually a year, often taking place in an international setting outside of the brothers' district. So in the case where Bishop is, we would prefer that they stay there because it's a learning place. And Africa is very large, and there's a lot that they can learn there as understanding being pastors. Now, as we said before, not all men that become priests will be pastors. But I want to say this: if a man is going to be a priest, then he should be really go and be a pastor, because what are you being a priest for? Just for the
He
curia?
has to have some pastoral
You
experience.
just gonna say mass and that's it? You have to. Jesus called the disciples to go out into the world, preach the gospel, baptizing them in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. So if they're going to be priests, they just can't be priests of the curia. They have to be priests that go, because otherwise, how are we going to build up churches? When we ordain these men, whether it be here or in their homeland, it is there that the district superior and the superior general sit in consultation. Where are we going to send this man? We cannot ordain a man unless he has a job. So if we're going to ordain Ali, why are we ordaining him? I'm going to ask the question, well, why are you ordaining? Where is he going? Is he going to stay there with you? Or are you going to send him in the bush? Or are you going to send him... Or you may send him to Uganda. You may send him to Niger. This is what he often says. The district or the bishop should not keep all those priests around him. It's not healthy. It's not good. Let them go. Jesus sent them forth. Because we have to have others come. Otherwise, they take advantage of us. They become our friends, and we get used to them, and we don't want anyone else to come around. So we get used to. We can't have that. Send them forth. If we're going to lay hands on them, then that day they get their appointment. After a month of transition, we are going to send you to Niger. We're going to give you $500. And we want you to go and build up a community. You go as a missionary with your mission cross, preaching redemption. And that's how we build up the Redemptorist community. This is the vision. That's the vision. This is what our eyes should see as district superiors, because we have to, because if otherwise we become clandestine, locked up in one place, and there's no growth. We have to grow. We have to send those men out, and Bishop, the more you send them out, Africa is very large. Brazil is large. South America is large. Argentina is large. The Philippines is large. If they go to the Philippines, they can't just stay at St. Michael's Parish. They're going to have to go to another part of the Philippines. The same thing in the United States. If I'm going to ordain a man here in the United States, he can't stay here in this parish. I'm sending him to Philadelphia, Washington, Maryland, Baltimore, Delaware. And I'm giving you $1,000. Now, how's he going to live? Well, you can't live off $1,000. No. So we have to figure that out. Do we send them out with no place to stay? No. We have to go with them, find a place for them to live. And then they live in their place. It might be one bedroom, a bathroom, kitchen, bedroom, and then that missionary must have another person with them. 2 by 2. Now, if we can't send 2 by 2, they go alone, but it's very dangerous to be alone. So the bishop, the district superior, has to think how he was. I don't get involved with that, but the thing is that the district superior will determine with me when we ordain, well, where is he going to go from this point on? So after they have done all of that, then they prepare themselves for the stage of perpetual vows. That's when they get the large mission cross. And the big cross, not the personal cross, but the big cross, the big one that sits inside. And you don't wear that all the time. We never wear the big giant cross. You don't. The Redemptorists don't walk around with that unless they are doing preaching and missions and so forth. Then you do that. Now, transition to ministry. It says here that after profession, and they've already done what they need to do, the Redemptorist priests, deacons, and brothers receive their assignments from the Superior General and recommendation of the district superior. I just said that, so this is very important. Now, after these years of formation, transition into going into the ministry, there's a continual formation. A lot of people don't want to go and get continual education, but they must have to do that. So, now, are there any questions? Now, in the initial formation, the postulant and novice formation program for our society, I'm not going to read it all, but we have the initial formation for the postulancy. The 5 major components of initial formation is prayer, discernment, accompaniment, spiritual direction, community life, manual labor, and we must be immersed in these experiences. It goes into ministry, inter-community formation program, initial formation summer program. For instance, sometimes you have to let the novices in the summertime go to a parish and assist. Or you wait till they become priests, candidates for the priesthood. And on their summertime, we send them. For instance, if they come here and they stay for 6 to 7 months, we have to send them back to Africa. But they only have 2 months to stay. They have to come back for their classes in September. And they stay until January. They can go back if they want. Or they can stay here. And we say, okay, we're going to let you do such and such and such, a sacrament.